On this 10R80 F150, P0732 may mean the transmission gear ratio did not match what the PCM expected during a commanded gear event. The truck may have a harsh or abnormal shift, it can feel like it flares or slips, and the transmission may go into a protective strategy. Broadly, you're thinking about possible fluid condition issues, possible pressure control concerns, possible clutch apply or slip problems, or an internal holding element that is not behaving correctly. For this code specifically, the ratio error is in, or while shifting to, second gear, and the fail-safe strategy can disable second gear for the rest of that key cycle. The key point with this type of ratio code is that the PCM is watching clutch application and gear ratio, but it may not be able to identify the exact clutch that caused the error. If other incorrect ratio codes are present, don't chase them one at a time blindly. Look for a common clutch involved in those gear applications. If there is no common clutch pattern, then keep line pressure or pump pressure in the back of your mind as a possible direction. If the earlier checks point you into the TCC or line pressure solenoid electrical path, test only the suspect circuit that matches the code you retrieved. Start with the solenoid power control 2 circuit. With the ignition off, disconnect the transmission vehicle harness at C168A and disconnect PCM connector C1381T. Inspect the connectors for damaged or pushed out terminals, corrosion, loose wires, and missing or damaged seals. Measure from C168A pin 11 to C1381T pin 1. The pass point is the resistance less than 3 ohms? If it is, keep going. If it is not, repair the open circuit. Next, check that same power control circuit for a short to ground by measuring C168A pin 11 to ground. The pass point is the resistance greater than 10,000 ohms? If it is, move on. If it is not, repair the short to ground. Next, check the suspect solenoid control circuit for an open. For the TCC solenoid, measure C168A pin 25 to C1381T pin 33. For the line pressure control solenoid, measure C168A pin 24 to C1381T pin 20. The pass point is the resistance less than 3 ohms on the suspect circuit? If yes, continue. If no, repair the open circuit. Then check that solenoid control circuit for a short to ground. For the TCC solenoid, measure C168A pin 25 to ground. For the line pressure control solenoid, measure C168A pin 24 to ground. The pass point is the resistance greater than 10,000 ohms on the suspect circuit? If yes, continue. If no, repair the short to ground. After that, turn the ignition on and check the same suspect control circuit for a short to power. If any voltage is present, repair the short to power. If no voltage is present, keep moving through the circuit. Now move to the internal wiring harness checks. Turn the ignition off, drain the transmission fluid, remove the transmission fluid pan, and disconnect the TCC solenoid at C1841 and the line pressure control solenoid at C1840. For the TCC solenoid, measure the transmission component side pin 11 to C1841 pin 1 and transmission component side pin 25 to C1841 pin 2. For the line pressure control solenoid, measure transmission component side pin 11 to C1840 pin 1 and transmission component side pin 24 to C1840 pin 2. The pass point are the resistances less than 3 ohms on the suspect circuits? If yes, continue. If no, install a new transmission internal wiring harness, both pieces. Then check those internal harness circuits for a short to ground. For the TCC side, measure transmission component side pin 11 to ground and pin 25 to ground. For the line pressure control side, measure transmission component side pin 11 to ground and pin 24 to ground. The pass point are the resistances greater than 10,000 ohms on the suspect circuits? If yes, continue. If no, install a new transmission internal wiring harness, both pieces. Reconnect the transmission vehicle harness at C168A and check the solenoid control circuit with the harness connected. For the TCC solenoid, measure C1841 pin 2 to C1381T pin 33. For the line pressure control solenoid, measure C1840 pin 2 to C1381T pin 20. The pass point is the resistance less than 3 ohms on the suspect circuit? If yes, go to the final power control check. If no, treat it as a terminal fitment issue and repair any loose, damaged, or bent terminals. For the final check, measure the solenoid power control 2 circuit with the harness connected. For the TCC solenoid, measure C1841 pin 1 to C1381T pin 1. For the line pressure control solenoid, measure C1840 pin 1 to C1381T pin 1. The pass point is the resistance less than 3 ohms on the suspect circuit? If yes, install a new solenoid. If no, treat it as a terminal fitment issue and repair any loose, damaged, or bent terminals. For P0732 itself, do not make the call from an old memory code alone. Turn the ignition on, clear the codes from the PCM with the scan tool, road test the truck, and then retrieve the continuous memory codes from the PCM. The decision point is simple. Did P0732 come back or not? If P0732 is present again after the clear and road test check, move into the transmission checks for the elements involved in this second gear ratio error. Check the C-clutch for a does not apply or slipping condition. Check the E-clutch for an always applied condition. Also check the A-clutch, D-clutch, and low one-way clutch for slipping concerns. Keep the diagnosis focused on proving the apply or slip condition instead of jumping straight to parts. If P0732 does not come back, the fault is not present at that time and may be intermittent. So pause, recheck the earlier diagnostic path and symptoms, and avoid guessing at a repair. If a related incorrect ratio code is the one that returns during the same clear road test and recheck routine, use it as context rather than letting it pull you away from the target code. That related path points to the same kind of clutch and one-way clutch evaluation. Look for the clutch that does not apply, the clutch that slips, or the low one-way clutch condition that explains the gear event. If that related fault does not return, treat it as not present at that time and possibly intermittent. The clean path for P0732 is to understand it as a second gear ratio problem, prove whether the code returns after a road test, and then test the clutch, one-way clutch pressure, and shared electrical paths that can explain the ratio error. If the fault will not repeat, slow down and handle it like an intermittent instead of forcing a conclusion. For more diagnostic training, visit stepdiagnostics.com.